There you go. Oh. Oh my gosh, welcome everybody. This is our weekly mini breakthrough session. So I'm coming up here every Wednesday. Now I'm a little later than our regular schedule on 11 a.m. Pacific time, but I'm here and I brought a really important topic. That's another topic that I've been seeing and in a lot of people and talking to a lot of people about it because and that I'll share what it is though. That is the public speaking. And don't think about public speaking as you have to be on the stage in front of hundreds or thousands of people. Public speaking and speaking in general and communicating who you are and what you're here for and what you do. And the reason why it is very important, and I'll share my story about it. And I'm talking about this here now, doing a Facebook Live. And for me, that was something that was absolutely impossible to even imagine. And if you've been seeing some of the videos I did share, and in some of the posts that I dropped a whole class in university. I dropped out of, I just signed off of a whole job because the next step would have been doing like presentations and some in the university that would have required being in front of the camera and all that. But I'm not even talking about that big. Even in a small circle of friends sharing my opinion and such, that made me blush. It made me just sweat. My palms are sweating. I felt very uncomfortable. My heart was racing, all that. So, and I came down to the conclusion after I was doing well years later, when I did feel this call. I did know that I want to serve people and how being in service, give people back and give back to the world. And I signed up for different courses and I did all kinds of trainings and learning how to market myself. It even sounds awful because it's not really what we're doing when you're actually doing it right. It's not that you have to sell yourself and such, but I just wanted to find ways to be able to talk to people about it. And I had to realize that it's not what I was needed. It wasn't that I needed another training and another funnel, another strategy and all that, because I didn't have the confidence to show up on our coaching calls and speak up. And when somebody back then, let's say even 8 years ago, not even that, 6 years ago, when someone asked me what I was doing, I felt very uncomfortable. And I maybe probably start talking about the weather, all kinds of things. And then I did share this before. The first client that I had here in the States was because I had a glass of wine, and that was a big slap in my face, realizing that, oh my gosh, I have so many blocks in me. So I have even a block about talking about myself and what I do and how I could help people. So that's what I came down to, is okay, this is not like the other trainings. It's not really what I'm lacking. This is not why I'm not showing up and I'm procrastinating, because I don't know, the ways and the strategies and the funnels and all that. It was because I was so afraid of showing up and sharing who I am. So we're going to walk through a couple of things, a few things that I think you guys might find it helpful. And so why I'm sharing all this, because a lot of you here know and feel this deep call in their heart that, I have been through all kinds of things. I've been through trauma. I've been through several things, or even trainings and stuff like that, that you have a lot to share. And there are people are struggling just at the stage where you were maybe just a few years ago, but now you're a little bit ahead of the game, and then you would like to share, but you feel somewhat blocked or limited. It may not come through like that. It may come through as a procrastination. It may come through as, yeah, I'll do this, I don't know, workshop or something next month, and then you never get there and such, and then you blame it on all kinds of other things, like you don't have the time and such. I was doing that for many years. And So what I want to share here first is to, if I can be here, sit here and doing this and doing Facebook Lives that seemed absolutely impossible, I'm 100% confident that you can do it too. And then there are ways that you can overcome that. And that's why I'm here to give you guys some tips and some tools to help you with that. So you see that, okay, this is what, like, kind of seeing first that you might have some uncovered things that is holding you back from, and where is it rooted? So that's the number one thing. No, actually, let's say like the zero. If we start with number one, so the zero, the starting point is you have to feel and be very, very comfortable and very cozy with who you are, what you've been through, and all that. Because if you're not feeling comfortable, if you still have things to heal in that might hold you back from sharing. But at the same time, once you feel comfortable with that, with yourself, with who you truly are, and then you start opening up a little bit towards vulnerability, that is going to be not just a healing journey for others, but the healing journey for yourself. So you don't have to hold yourself back and waiting till the point when you feel like, oh, now I mastered this, now I'm a guru in that, now I'm completely healed and overcame this and that, so now I can help people. No, when you start sharing who you are and what you've been through, and that's when you open it up and you're vulnerable, that's when you're really, really healing with the people you start helping with. So that's the whole beauty of it. And that's kind of the other way around then. When we feel, that's when one side, when we start sharing myself and what I do and all that, when I am fully like there. And a lot of people have this fear and limitations that, okay, but I'm still maybe somewhat struggling with that, or I haven't fully figured it out. You don't have to. So that's one thing. But starting point, you have to be very comfortable with what that is, with who you are. And after that, like kind of number one after that, you have to be clear on your purpose to a degree that your purpose is, and the call of your heart is bigger than your comfort zone. Now that started to shift a lot for me. So when you have that can start moving the needle for you. And some coaches, though, which I don't agree with that part, some coaches say that if you haven't been doing, or if you're not doing that, what you feel that's your purpose and your mission, that your purpose is probably not big enough. So may have to reconsider what is the actual call for you. So, and maybe choose another one or another like niche or like all that. And what I've been finding true is it's not really that. It can be true for some people. So you might have to rethink, like, is this purpose important enough for me to fully step into that? And if you come down to that, then yes, that you can just ask yourself, like, what is really that true call? That's why I'm here, that what I want to share. But for most people, that can come back as an excuse. Yeah, it's not that important, this purpose, but what's underneath that? And at the end of the day, we always find ourselves like, yeah, okay, so I still have a lot of fears around. And it might be just the fear of even public speaking. I would love to live this purpose, but I kind of feel in order to live that, I have to break free of that mind prison. So I could share that. I could talk to other people. I could do videos. I can do Facebook Lives. And you don't have to do Facebook Lives and such in order to help other people, but you have to be comfortable with start sharing who you are and your gifts. And another step or another tool and another helper is practice. This is something that comes with practice also. And it's almost like a muscle that you can train. And what was really, really helpful for me, and I don't think a lot of people like do it that way or like teach that way, but you can break it down into smaller segments. It's not that you're gonna be on the stage tomorrow in front of 1,000 people, but you can start small. And like things that helped me, I could break it down to a level that I felt comfortable with. Like doing a live video, no, I didn't feel comfortable with, but I did like 7 different recordings, and the one that I was kind of okay with, I was like, okay, I'm gonna close my eyes and hit share. And then I had to realize, like, gosh, I survived. I literally thought that I would die, you know, with doing my first live. And I had to realize, like, oh, that was just a humongous fear. So kind of like doing it, being in practice and doing it in a way that it's still like lowers the bar enough that you can still jump through. It's uncomfortable. Yeah. When you feel like overly uncomfortable with even with that, then you have probably a lot more underlying facts and blockages and fears and such that it can be uncovered. So that was a huge step for me. And that's kind of another starting point, is like, what is what I'm most afraid of, why I'm so afraid of being judged, why one of my things was being misunderstood, because I had that as an experience as a kid, and it totally broke my wings off. And that played a huge role in having my wings broken off and having developed a humongous anxiety around the whole public speaking, especially about something that I knew I was good at, because I was doing something I was good at. I was on the stage and I liked that as a kid. I really enjoyed it. And that event, when I was misheard, misunderstood, misjudged, and all that, that totally shifted the world for me. So finding the roots, what is causing that? Or is it something from your childhood, coming from either from school or being bullied, or from parents, you know, not like, oh, like, or criticism, or making a mistake that you got laughed at, you know, by other like classmates and such, like all kinds of things that could play a big role in for us to develop those fears, I would call it, those anxieties around that. But we can overcome that. And yeah, it does come with practice. So start being very clear, very cozy with, you know, with yourself and what you've been through and with your gifts. And then being very clear on how big, how important this purpose is to me. Is it bigger than, is it more important to me to help and start sharing that and be supporting other people than my comfort zone and my fears? And then another next step is, you know, like being practicing. So finding comfortable ways to do that, even just for yourself. If you're never going to share it, even like putting yourself on video, if you still feel very, very uncomfortable with that and you're constantly judging yourself. And I couldn't stand re-listening myself and hearing my voice. I used to hate my voice. I used to be so critical about myself and everything. I wanted so perfect. Anytime when I said like I skipped the whole video, and I spent weeks of cutting those ahs out of the video. Oh, I was actually just the voice recording. I wasn't comfortable showing up at all on my first webinar. I only did like a voiceover, and even with the voice, I edited for weeks. So that's how judgmental I was and criticizing about myself. So when you notice that, there's a lot of things that you can uncover, and finding, you know, what it's causing it, that's lack of self-confidence, or maybe it's coming from body confidence, coming from any kind of trauma in a way. Those are emotional traumas. When we got criticized, when we were told that we're not good enough, if you were told, you know, that, we did have a mini training on the not good enoughness. So I encourage you to watch that if you haven't. A lot of things circle back to that. And then also finding help with keeping you accountable for showing up, for if you have those plans, if you want to do a challenge or a live challenge, like all those, find someone who can hold your hand with, find a community who can keep you accountable with, or helping you nail it down enough that you feel comfortable with, or getting clarity on what you want to say and with your communication. Interestingly, also, if you clear out some of the gutters, even your lifestyle, and doing that and opening up and getting some, like clearing out some of the blockages, the communication part and those limitations automatically start releasing. So that's very, very interesting. I have students that like blew their mind that they didn't expect that. It's not even really why they signed up for, you know, any kind of program. but that was like a side effect. That was a beautiful result. And the other thing that I want to share, which is somewhat related to that, well, in a way, it could be closer related to that, is I had this idea just came to me yesterday that I have to do, that I have to offer that. So I'm actually going to offer, which I've not been doing that. I have the clarity calls, which are breakthrough calls as well. If you want to get clarity on, like where to go, how to, identify these and which is the direction that you need to go. But the way it came to me yesterday, that I'm going to offer a very small amount of people, 7 people. So there's an opening for that, for a free call that is just a session to identify your blockages, where it's coming from, which area or which pillar you might have that from, if you don't have clarity around that, but you do feel that you've been procrastinating, you've not been showing up, you probably like already know if you have a fear of public speaking. But even just that, sharing who you are, sharing like, and what it is rooted, like who is it, what is it, where it's coming from, and what are the steps that could help you the most to not just identify them, but get like clear them out, and what could open up from there, what is the possibility when you wouldn't have those limitations. So those are like breaking, finding, identifying that like not just the beliefs, but all the blockages that could hold you back from fully stepping into your full power, your full potential, live your purpose, get paid for who you are, all those, and even like the money blocks. And so this is part of it. If you're not there financially where you would like to be, you're not on the abundance level what you would want yourself, see yourself to be, those are usually coming from like some kind of a blocks as well. So we can identify that as well. So if you're interested in being part of like the 7 people, because the spots are very, very limited because of my very tight schedule and being booked up a lot of times. So if you're interested in that, send me a DM and I can hardly wait to help you out with that totally free of charge. And this is like not a sales call or anything. So just help you identify what's there. And if you are called to figure out how to really fully break free of those, then we can talk further about that. But this is not my goal. My goal is just to help you get clarity in that. So I hope you guys got some good value out of that, and seeing that I shared some of my story around it and what is possible and what helped me. And there's a lot of aspects and what other tools that we can use for that. But yeah, getting clear on those steps, like try practicing and do those steps. Those were really, really helpful for me in that, to break free of this prison, of this fear of even just talking about myself, not even being on the stage and talking about, things like that, but just being very comfortable with what I can do, for how I can help others. I mean, sharing that. So communicating that was huge. And that shifted everything for me as well, not just in my life, but in my, abundance and my business, and be able to give back to the world and serve others on the highest level. So send me a DM if you want to be part of that 7 people, so I could help you identify all those blocks and break free of those. Blessings. Love you guys.